Welcome to today's video. Make sure to like and share this video with others.
It's something that a lot of people do not accept. Okay, so we're going to look at the official story, and then we'll see some of the issues with the official story. So first, I want to show you some videos. First, we're going to watch the moon landing. So in 1969, July 20th, they shoot 3 men into space, Buzz Aldrin, Michael Collins, Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong becomes the first man in the world to walk on the moon. Okay, and this is his journey. All right, so let's watch it together. What you will see is that it takes a lot of thrust to get the man into space.
2.5, picking up some dust. 30 feet, 2.5 down. Big shadow. 4 forward, drift into the right a little.
This is considered the greatest achievement in human history. It took years and years of hard work involving 400,000 people all working for NASA to accomplish this perfect landing on the moon.
We're breathing again. Thanks a lot. Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down the ladder now. I'm at the foot of the ladder. The 11-foot beds are only...
What is amazing is that this is being broadcast live from the moon back to NASA. So their technology back then is far superior to our technology today.
12 steps per man. 1 diaphragm per man. Tony, this is so great you can't believe it. I believe it, Charlie. It's raining, Johnny. Look at it go, would you, Charlie? You got all your steering to get straight. Oh, this is going to be some kind of different ride. Hippity hoppity, hippity hopping over hill and dale.
I know this looks fake, but it's not, okay? This is official NASA footage, live from the moon. And this is the best part, okay? The best part is when they return from the moon back to Earth. You see how easy it is? It's just like they just fly up. No resistance at all. Okay? Perfect. Humanity's greatest achievement. Now, what's amazing is that while they were on the moon,
Both of you on the camera for me, please.
President Nixon and the astronauts had a phone conversation. Okay?
Roger, we'd like to get both of you on the field of view of the camera for a minute.
Yeah, I think something rather important is coming up here.
Neil and Buzz.
This is being broadcast live to American people. Okay?
We'd like to say a few words to you, over.
Hello, Neil and Buzz. I'm talking to you by telephone from the Oval of the Netherlands. And this certainly has to be the most historic telephone call ever made from the White House. I just can't tell you how proud we all are of what you have done. For every American, this has to be the proudest day of our lives. And for people all over the world, I am sure that they too join with Americans in recognizing what an immense feat this is. Because of what you have done, the heavens have become a part of man's world.
Okay? The heavens have become part of man's world, right? Remember how last class we talked about how they wanted to bring the heavens down to earth. Okay, this is the idea of inversion. Okay? But do you see how amazing it is that they were able to have this seamless phone conversation? Yeah? Okay. Now, they go to the moon, and you would think that they would come back, and they're heroes, right? Imagine if the school took you all on a trip to Mount Everest. You spend 6 months climbing the world's tallest mountain. You come back and you feel amazing, right? You feel on top of the world. You're ecstatic. You want the whole world to know about it. Well, they should be feeling the same thing, right? Okay, here's a press conference after the...
I have two brief questions I'd like to ask, if I may. When you were carrying out that incredible moonwalk, did you find that the surface was equally firm anywhere, or were there harder and softer spots that you could detect? And secondly, when you looked up at the sky, could you actually see the stars and the solar corona in spite of the glare?
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see.
I don't remember seeing any.
I don't remember seeing any stars. He doesn't remember anything, okay? Did you see how nervous they are? It's very strange. All right? And that's why, even today, there are a lot of people who do not believe the moon landing happened. Okay, so we'll go over the theories as to why later on. I know all this sounds suspicious, but there are lots of reasons why we should just believe the government. Okay? Why we should believe the United States government is telling us the truth, that the moon landing was actually real. Okay? So let's go over the reasons why we should never ever believe conspiracy theories. Okay? The first reason, of course, is the government would never lie to us. Okay? That's the first reason. It's probably the best reason. Second reason is, well, the government is too stupid to do anything like this, okay? They're incompetent, okay? The third reason is, why is there so much evidence that there's a conspiracy theory, right? If the government is so powerful, if they're capable of doing these conspiracies, surely they can cover it up as well. Why is it on 9/11 we have all this footage? Why is it that we have the passports? Why is it that we have this TV show? Why is there so much evidence? That makes no sense, right? So the fact that there's so much evidence suggests to us that the government is not involved, okay? Because the government is so powerful that it can just cover everything up, right? The other thing is, NASA has 400,000 people working on the space program, right? Why hasn't anyone come forward and confessed? Why hasn't anyone told the truth? That's kind of strange. So the fact that so many people were involved, but no one has come out and told us what happened, means that the government is telling the truth, okay? Does that make sense? It's very hard to keep 400,000 people quiet. Okay? Someone might have told a friend or a family member, or just might have gotten drunk and then done a YouTube video. Who knows, okay? But it's very hard to keep 400,000 people under wraps. JFK, why not they kill in public? Why not just make it a private thing, Just give him some poison, he dies, no one knows. Why make it into a spectacle? Okay, so another reason to doubt conspiracy theory, okay? And the last thing is, if the government was really involved, they would not allow us to discuss this, right? They wouldn't allow me to find this video online. They could just cover it all up, right? All these videos I've shown you are online. So this tells us the government doesn't have anything to fear, right? Okay? So we're in a strange situation where we can either believe the government is telling us the truth, but then we have all this evidence to suggest that they're not telling us the truth. Or we can believe that they did this, but what we also have to believe is that they did this and they want us to know that they did this and they want us to talk about these conspiracy theories. Okay? That's kind of strange. Well, it turns out we have an explanation for this. It's called revelation of method. The idea is that those who engage in evil must tell you that they are engaging in evil. The theory is that those who do conspiracies must tell you they're doing conspiracies. And there are 3 reasons why, okay? So let's go over them. The first reason is the idea of learned helplessness. And so the idea is, okay, let's just say that everyone knows that they did this, right? We get angry. We write emails. We make YouTube videos. Then what? Nothing, right? So the idea of learned helplessness is like the more angry you get, the more helpless you feel, and therefore the more obedient you become. Okay? That's the first reason. Second reason is the idea of karmic responsibility. And the idea is that the people in power are extremely superstitious. They believe that when they die, God will judge them. Okay? So we're all dead, and God says to the government, hey, why did you do all this evil stuff? And the government says, no, 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 I did not act alone. Everyone participated. Why? Because I told them what I was doing. They didn't stop me. They didn't raise any concerns. They didn't protest. Therefore, they are complicit. Okay? So another way of saying this is, if you just look at 9/11, if you just look at the moon landing, if you just look at JFK, the evidence is so overwhelming that if you still believe the government, it's not because you are ignorant or stupid. It's because you are complicit. It's because you are involved. Therefore, you share the guilt. Therefore, the karma is spread to everyone. Okay, that's the logic. All right? And the third reason is attention capture. These events are set up in a way so that they will be remembered forever. Okay, so everyone remembers where they were, what they were doing, who they were with on 9/11. When JFK was assassinated, during the moon landing. Okay? So you probably were not in the United States. You might have been in China. You might have been Tunisia. You might have been in South Africa. It doesn't matter. Okay? You could have been on the moon. Okay? But you still remember what you were doing on 9/11 because it's etched into your consciousness. And that's the point. The point is to control people by controlling how people perceive reality. Okay? Because then you have the power of God. Okay? So these are the 3 major reasons why they will do this evil, but they will tell you they did this evil, and they want you to discuss and continue to discuss why they do this evil. Okay? So even today, people are still writing books about JFK. People are still writing books about the moon landing. It's allowed because it's attention capture. Okay? It's like the idea of top of mind. So if you're a company, you don't care about bad publicity. All publicity is good because it's top of mind, right? So if you are hungry and you want to go out for lunch, what's the first thing that you want to eat? It's the first thing that comes to mind, right? So maybe pizza or hamburger. Okay, that's the idea of branding. So that's what they're doing here. They're trying to control your reality through these events. Okay? Does that make sense, guys? Okay, any questions? All right. Now what I want to do is look at a question. Okay? Let's look at certain questions. Why is this happening? The moon landing. Okay? I'm not saying the moon landing was faked, but there's an argument that it is impossible for humans to leave something called the Van Allen belt. Okay? The Van Allen belt is this electromagnetic field that protects us from cosmic radiation. So that the belts themselves have heavy radiation. So if you go into it, you die. But also if you leave the Van Allen belt, there's nothing to protect you from cosmic radiation, so you could die as well. So some scientists actually believe that it's impossible to leave Earth. Okay? We'll just die. I don't know how they were able to do this. And as you may know, right now, a lot of countries, America, China, are trying to get back to the moon. They're having a really hard time. Okay? They're having a hard time because NASA lost all the technology, lost all the footage, lost all the data. Oops. Oh well. Okay. So how was NASA able to keep this secret? Well, guess what? A lot of their most important people were Freemasons. Okay? This is Buzz Aldrin, one of the 3 astronauts. He was a Freemason. Okay? John Glenn, the first American to orbit the Earth was a Freemason, 33-degree Mason, okay? As was James Webb, one of the first NASA administrators. James Webb, Kenneth Klett. So these people are embedded throughout the bureaucracy. And because they're able to coordinate, they have complete control of the bureaucracy. Does that make sense? So it doesn't matter who's at the top. What matters is which bureaucrats are able to work together to achieve their vision. This is Werner von Braun. And he was one of the first NASA leaders. And he's a German. He was actually a Nazi who was brought over after World War II to help America build its space program. Okay? And he had a friend or a colleague named Carol Rosen. And we don't know if this is true. Okay? But what Carol Rosen tells us is that when von Braun died, he told us that the American government, was first and foremost concerned about spending money on space weapons, okay? And to do this, what America will do is continue to manufacture threats to justify all the spending on weaponry, okay? And then she lists the different threats. First, they will use Russians, okay? The Russians, we have to defeat the Russians in the space race. Then they'll be like, you know what? Terrorists, okay, 9/11. Then, third world countries, the crazies, like North Korea, okay? Iran. And then an asteroid. We need space weapons to protect the Earth from asteroids. And then the last thing is a fake alien invasion. Okay? Aliens. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. So we'll talk about this later towards the end of the semester about a fake alien invasion. Okay? That's part of the plan. And they've been seeding this for a long time. So I'll conclude by talking about different possibilities. You don't have to believe me, okay? In fact, there are, I think, 5 different possibilities as to what happened. Okay? The footage looks fake. So how to explain this? Well, the first explanation is it's real footage. And we should just believe the government, okay? But we also need to believe that they lost all the footage, lost all the technology, lost all the data. Okay? That's possibility number 1. Just believe what the government tells you. Possibility number 2 is America went to the moon, but the astronauts discovered too many secrets on the moon. Like there are space aliens on the moon. They can't tell us, so they create this fake footage, okay? That's the second possibility. Third possibility is America went to the moon, but because of the lighting, because of the difficulty of filming, they couldn't actually take any footage. So they made it up to please the American people, okay? The fourth possibility is America went to the moon, but NASA decided to create this fake footage to fool the Soviets, right? Because if it's real footage, the first Soviets might be able to copy the technology, so we should just fake this thing and make fun of the Soviets, okay? Let's fool the Soviets. So the Soviets could not reverse engineer the success. Okay? That's also a possibility. Right? And the last possibility, of course, is America didn't go to the moon. And it's entirely your choice which possibility to believe. Okay? I'm just proposing different possibilities out there. So how can we know the truth? Well, we can use game theory to logically deduce what happened. Okay, so let's use game theory. All right, so we know that NASA's Apollo program cost $26 billion between 1960 and 1973. That's almost $200 billion today. They spend all this money, they need to produce a result, right? This is almost like 4% of all government spending in America. That's a lot of money. Also, you don't know this, but by 1969, America was falling apart for 3 reasons. First of all, America was fighting this pointless and hopeless war called Vietnam. Tens of thousands of Americans were dying for no reason. Hundreds of thousands of young Americans were protesting in the streets. The American dream seemed to be dying, okay? That's the first problem. Second problem is that the Soviets were destroying the Americans in the space race. The Soviets were the first to send an animal to space, the first to send a man to space, the first to orbit the Earth, the first to walk in space, the first to send a lunar module to the moon. So it seemed as though communism was superior to capitalism. It seemed as though the Soviet system was better than the American system, okay? There's a real fear that the Soviets would get to the moon first, okay? And also, the last thing is, remember, in 1963, JFK was killed. JFK was the prince, the king. So that put Americans in a very bad mood. But then later on, other prominent Americans like Robert F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King, they were all killed as well. So 1969, America was divided. It was falling apart. People felt hopeless, right? So what this means is that if America sent a mission to the moon and all the astronauts died or they didn't get there, America would have been broken, okay? People would have been depressed. And so according to game theory, America could not afford to take the risk of sending people to the moon. If they died, if it failed, America would have looked like idiots. Okay? But of course, there's always a counter-argument. And the counter-argument is, okay, this makes sense, but why did the Soviets call out the Americans and said, you guys faked this? Right? Why? America and the Soviet Union were in competition with each other. Everyone believed America went to the moon, but there's a lot of evidence to suggest that America didn't go to the moon. So why did the Soviets tell the world? Okay? That I can't answer for you. All right? So I just leave you with this thought. Okay? But what I believe is, within the next 2 years, the truth will slowly start to come out. And you will see for yourself what really happened. As you may know...
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you.